All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to start trying to do a little bit of recording on this build that I'm doing for a customer. He's don't know the year model, Squarebody S-10. Truck was originally, when it came over here, was a conventional small block nitrous deal. He decided that he wanted to try his hand with LS and turbo, so he brought it over to me. I have fit up the LS. I've kind of just I've got a spare one sitting here in it right now. Test fitting stuff. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to document as much as I can on this to maybe help some people that might be a little overwhelmed with doing a turbo LS swap in a S10. It can be daunting. It's not that bad with the right information. You're not saying what I do is right, but it's what works for me. So what I'm going to do, not going to show the actual truck because I don't know if the guy is a grudge racer. I'm not sure if he wants his truck posted online for everyone to see. But I'm going to just kind of show the setup, the motor, kind of how it's sitting in there, the what I did as far as the hot side, cold side, stuff like that, what I'm doing on the engine. Just try to document the best I can. This first one I've done on this, so it's going to be different parts to it, different series, if you will. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. We might try to do a little bit more of this if it seems like it is informative enough and people like it. I do all kinds of stuff. I race. That's my car. It's a work in progress. We've just recently swapped this thing over from Holley EFI to Fuel Tech. And if it's of any interest, I can go over some of the details on that. But for now, let's go over some of these parts and what I've done so far on this truck. All right, so this is just a junk motor. Don't mind it. It's not staying. This isn't the one that's going in. But it's just one I've kind of been using to mock up. I've got this motor that's sitting in here. I've got my old motor that I've been using to take stuff off of this one, test fit it, make sure everything fits in the truck, then bring it over here where it's easy, mock it up on there, makes life so much easier. So what I bought for this is, I got them off eBay. They are Corvette turbo hitters with the V-bands. They came with the V-bands. So what I've done is, if you can tell, right there where this collector, where the V-band collector is, it was rotated. So basically what I did is I got it right here, cut it, and rotated it basically 180 degrees. It actually got it, instead of going downward, it actually angled it where it was straight out. Did that to both sides. This side, passenger side, is really, really close. I'm gonna try to see if I can get down in there. So as you can tell, that thing is very, very close, but there is space. It does not hit the frame anywhere. And all I did, same thing, is I took the collector right here and cut it and just rotated it 180 degrees basically. And you can tell this thing is still stock frame rail. It's not been notched. It still has the factory steer box. If I didn't have this intercooler in here, I could show it. I might take it out and show you a little bit better. But you can see there's clearance everywhere. Goes up under the harmonic balancer, and then it'll merge over here into this side. Now, I'm not done with this. This is all still loose pieces because I've been waiting on this guy to show up from Race Parts Solutions. What this is a double slip joint. It will basically, this side over here will weld directly to, I'll cut a section where I'm going to put this is actually right up under the harmonic balancer. It'll weld flush on this side, and then the other side, what it'll do is the exhaust from this side, where I cut it, it will actually slide inside of here and sandwich this piece in between this one. It was really confusing. I had to kind of look at it and scratch my head for a minute. Then it started making sense why they call it a double slip. So the tubing slides inside and seals off inside here. So pretty cool little setup. Been waiting on this to come in. It finally came in. The intercooler. I have got this thing set to where this is it's got 4-inch end caps, but it's a 3-inch core intercooler. Now it fits. I have already test fitted it. I had to, I don't know if you can tell, I had to clearance. Now I'm going to go and clean it up. This is just very rough cuts. But I had to go in and clearance the grill. This fits this grill factory location. Did not have to cut it out. Everything bolts up nice and tight. Clearances are very tight. I've got the radiator. It's got an aftermarket radiator that has already been, they have cut it out where it fits down on top of the frame rail, but they've already cut it out to where it fits out here. I have tried it and it does fit. I can get measurements off of, anyways, so the radiator will fit, the aftermarket radiator, and it does fit in here. There is room to run a mechanical water pump. So yeah, everything ties together. I've just got to do a little bit more securing. I got to run some brackets from here to these tabs to hold this forward. And what I'm going to do, because this gentleman is still running a steel hood with the factory hood latch. So once I get this intercooler secured, I'm going to run probably some pieces off the side. And then I'm going to probably box in the back of this thing to give it a little bit more reinforcement, because it's, as you can tell, it's pretty flimsy when you cut it all out. Now, I didn't do all this. I didn't cut it out. It was already cut out before. But yes, I'm going to, once everything gets put in, like I said, I will reinforce this, make this stronger so that he can still use his factory hood latch. Does have an oil cooler for the transmission up under there. Not the biggest fan of that, but it's also not mine. I will recommend him to do something a little bit different, but that is up to him. It works. He's got it. We're just going to run with it. The flange is a 2.5-inch to T6 flange. This is a T6. This is a pulsar unit. Not going to give out specifics on it, but it is a pulsar. If you would like, these turbos are phenomenal. Price is pretty good on them. They are solid units. If you are interested in one, if you want to send me a message, I can get you set up with the guy that I use to spec all these turbos. I have a Pulsar I'm running in here. I have recently sold the old Pulsar unit that I had on my car, and a friend of mine is running it on his truck. This is the new Pulsar G Series. It is a Garrett frame. This one is I believe it's an 8899 that I'm running, so a little bit smaller than what I used to run. I used to run a 98102 S400 frame. That is a Garrett frame now, so it's a little bit different. a little bit smaller, but should make a ton of power. But back on this, Pulsar unit, S400 frame, T6. I'm going to be running a full, I've got the boxes in the house, but I'm going to be running a full 4-inch exhaust. I bought and if anybody's interested in any of these parts that I use, the links, this stuff, a lot of these parts have been acquired through Amazon or eBay. The flange was off of Amazon. The headers was off of eBay. I got a universal, I think it's a 16 gauge polished stainless 2.5-inch kit that comes with 90s. It comes with 280-degree bends, all stainless. This is one of the 45s I have left. And also back there, got two, they're about 3 foot a piece. Just straight pipe, all 2.5, all polished. This stuff is pretty good for the money. I think I paid, I don't remember how much it was. I think it was $250 for the tubing. There's internet professionals everywhere. So some of the stuff I do might not be textbook, but it's the same process that I have done on my personal car. And that thing has been good to me. We've been pretty fast with it. This is a street legal. I run street classes with it, and we have to go on cruises. It goes on cruises. It's been very fast. I won several races at the end of last year. We're hoping to cap that this year. We are going to be, once we get this, it's been a process trying to get the Fuel Tech stuff learned over the Holly. But you never learn until you actually try. So, there's bumps and bruises. I've learned a lot building this car, which is going to hopefully in turn help me with this truck. Sorry about that. It's one of my kids was asking me about Pataga worms. So it's a nice day out, so they're out wanting to build a little sanctuary or whatever for Pataga worms. Anyways, so yeah, like I was saying, this thing, all of this was most everything was purchased through Amazon. All this stuff, I think it was the hot side, the 2.5-inch polished piping, I believe was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $250, $200 maybe. And there's a lot. I mean, like I said, I've got the entire hot side built, and I still have 145 left. 145. I got 180-degree bend. I got 2 sticks over there, and actually I've got both of the 45s. 45 there and drop pieces there. And then for cold side stuff, bought just a 3-inch universal kit. Comes with T-bolts. I believe I bought this off of, I got it off Amazon also. But for the price, I mean, this stuff is pretty solid. It's got a bunch of 90s, a bunch of 45s. I think this one might actually have some straight bends. Yep, it's got some 180-degree bends in it also. Comes with boots. I mean, you can get different color boots, all kinds of stuff. So that's that for the hot side and the cold side. What I'll have to do is I'm going to come in and notch this right here, and I'm going to slide one of those 90-degree boots out of the kit directly on here, and it'll be straight. And then I'll go through here, and I'll 90 up, or 45 or 90 turned up at a 45-degree angle into the intake. And then I'll just have to reclock some of this with the turbo, the compressor housing, reclock it, and then loop it around into that one. This thing is going to be stock water pump, stock factory alternator. It's going to be all controlled off of Holly EFI. This is my cart of all parts that I've been collecting for it. That's got, so I got Holley Terminator EFI. We're going ARP, lots of good stuff. Brian Tooley set us up. Actually, John Flanders. Shout out to John Flanders. Flanders LS Swapping Solutions, I believe. He's out of the Valdosta area. Solid guy. Got me good pricing. Got all this stuff super fast. We're going to completely rebuild this thing that wasn't in the original plans. The original plan, this is actually the motor that he brought me, the gentleman. We were going to use that. Come to find out, the rings were stuck solid. So we just decided, instead of tearing this thing down, send it to the machine shop, have it built, and this and that and other, we'll just get a good replacement core. And I was able to look out and found it's upside down, but a Gen 4 HO 5.3 that the only difference in those, the HOs, the high outputs versus the regular 5.3s, is that this one has got flat top pistons, so it's got more compression, more power. Got a Brian Tooley Stage 2 turbo cam that I've already put in. Got new cam bearings put in. I've got a set of, it's all basically, we were trying to avoid rebuilding an entire motor, but in the process of, we were rebuilding an entire motor. So already got the cam in. I'm going to double check the bearing clearances, and I'm sure most people, if they're interested in this stuff, probably some of y'all have already might know some of this, but some that don't. Bearing clearances, basically I'm going to take the replacement bearings that I have in here, main bearings and rod bearings, and I'm going to put them in here without the crankshaft, and then put the main caps in, torque everything down just like it's supposed to, and then I'll take a dial bore gauge and check the clearance, what the spacing is with the bearings, and then I'll mic the crankshaft. Now, crank, nothing special. It is a stock 5.3 58 tooth crankshaft. I had it sent to the local machine shop. Solid guy. He polished it, checked it, cleaned it. Everything's good to go. So we're going to just check and see what the clearances are. Basically, once the main caps and everything are torqued down, that'll be the size. We'll check and see what the spacing is between them, and then what the difference is between the journals on there and the block. And that will give us we'll just subtract the two numbers, and that'll give us where our clearances are, which should be, we're hoping, around 2 thousandths. But that's why we're going to check it, because all that has all that determines what kind of oil you run. If they're too tight, with turbo stuff, you don't really want tight. You want loose, a little on the looser side, I should say. At least that's how I did with mine. With mine, I think mine is like 2.5 thousandths is all the bearing clearances on everything, rods and mains. And I run like a 10 to 15 weight oil. This one, being that we're going back with a stock crank, stock size, standard size bearing, we might have to run a 5 weight, a little bit lighter weight, but we'll see. I'm going to try to go through, I'm going to try to remember, this is the first time doing this, on going step by step on how to do this. I'm the furthest from a professional. I tell people I know enough to be dangerous. Excuse me. But I'll document it along. I'm sure I'll have people that'll correct me and tell me I'm doing it the wrong way, and that's okay. So back on the parts. Like I said, John Flanders had me set up with everything. We've got multi-layer head gaskets. We have got valve spring kit. That's the dual 660 springs, new seals, retainers. We got their LS7 lifters. Got new front and rear cover gaskets, and new lifter trays. So, and got I think that was a standard volume high pressure oil pump. let's see, what else I got? Got low dollar pressure transducer for the dome pressure. Got this from 269 Motorsports. We're going to run this guy does not have, he's not going to be racing this truck a lot. He's going to be, this is basically like a daily driver kind of thing. Just wants to be able to go and have some fun with it. So we're not going to be running CO2. We're just going to be running regular boost pressure. So we're going to run a single 3-port Mac valve. One-piece hardened push rods. That's what those are. One-piece hardened push rods. LS7 lifters. Complete spring kit, 6 spring kit. And these are LS9, actually. Here's the LS9 size multi-layer head gaskets. Some of the stuff that he's bought from me, this is parts that I've had. I've labeled everything. When I say labeled, I've bagged everything. ARP head bolts. This truck is, we tossed around the idea of doing studs versus bolts. I just made the decision to run bolts instead of studs because this thing is not going to have a ton of pressure being applied to it. This is going to be, like I said, this is just going to be a truck that he can take around, cruise, whatever, and drive it wherever he wants to, and drive it to the track, make some passes, and have some fun with it. Now, if it was going to be something like this, then yes, it was going to be studded, but we're not going to be turning this thing that hard. He wants this thing to last a long time. So that's what made me decide to save the money. We can apply it somewhere else. Run ARP bolts. I have ran, when I had the old 370 in my car with high compression. It was a nitrous motor, and I had these same bolts, the ARP head bolts, and never had an issue. The only issue that I ever had was so that's what we're going to do with this. Not going to be running these pieces of craps. We're going to go and get some actual MLS gaskets. We are going to be running BR7 spark plugs. I think I run like a 20 thousandths gap on these. I run an 18 on my car, but we're also got a lot of boost that I'm running through that thing. This one's going to not be so much, so we're going to go with a little bit bigger. And I think that is just about it. I have started assembling this thing, and then I caught myself. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just try it. Don't know how any of this is going to go. Once I kind of get on something, I kind of just zone out and I forget. So this might work out, might not. I have no idea. But we'll see. My goal in this was just information. For people that might seem like this is very overwhelming, trying to do something for the first time, you don't have to have a tremendous amount of knowledge. It does help. I have built one other motor before, and that is the motor I'm running in here. I have been running this motor for over a year without a single problem. It's worked phenomenal. I did a lot of research, and I have a lot of good friends that are a lot smarter than I am that have been able to come over and help me put that motor together, and I learned a lot. So that's kind of the point of this. This is just to show you that you can do this stuff. You don't need to send all this stuff and spend a whole lot of money to pay someone else to do it. You can do everything yourself if you just take the time to learn it. One thing that I did not go over yet, which is the biggest issue with these S-10s and putting V8s in them, is the steering. They are a pain. What I'm doing with this And then just honestly, I have a game plan of what I'm going to do. I just have to kind of wait till I get a little bit further along with the build to make sure that it's going to work. I know it will work. I know I can make it work. It's just a matter of how clean it is. But what I'm going to do, I've already got the adapters to convert the stock gearbox to a double D. What I'm doing is I'm going to come off of right here, and that little flat spot right there above the spring pocket, I'm going to make a little kicker that's going to have like a curve to it with a heim joint. So it's going to come from here, it's going to angle over, and then it's going to kick back to this one. I've got I think it was a 1 inch, 31 splined steering shaft. This is stock steering shaft, or steering column. So I've got this adapter, and I said we're going to run a double D out of right here. So it's going to basically it's going to come over here, and then it's going to kick over with that heim joint. And I've got a smooth 3/4 shaft steering shaft that what I'll do is actually, it's right there, is this will be more than what I need. I'll probably have to cut it down some, but double D on both ends, 3/4 shaft, and I'll cut it right here, and then I'll weld that onto there on both ends. And what it'll do, it'll allow me to come this way, then kick it over to there, keeping his factory location steering wheel. I've seen some people that have LS swap these things, and they'll take the firewall, waller it out really bad, slide the steering shaft over, which in turn makes the steering wheel crooked. I don't like that. This particular guy, he is very particular. This is a very clean truck. He wants to keep it very clean. So I'm trying to make the install as clean as possible. Which is why I'm trying to keep everything tight. He just bought the radiator for it. He spent quite a bit of money on that nice radiator. So that was his request, is that he wanted to run his radiator and want everything. He didn't want anything cut out. Wanted to run stock grill without it cut out. And what I'm going to do for the alternator is this. I have a bunch of them, but this is just a factory truck alternator bracket, accessory bracket. Normally, you got alternator goes here, you got a power steering pump that goes down here, and what I have done is I cut it. And maybe in the next video I'll have the hot side completely out, and I'll bolt it back up on here so you can see. But the headers, they come off of here, they kind of swoop down a little bit. It comes this way, goes down, goes under the balancer, blah blah blah. And I've got, being this truck has got the manual steering box in it, I didn't need the brackets for the power steering pump. So hoping this will work. I don't see why it won't. The belt, the header and everything runs like right here, is close. But with this, if it was to the factory alternator without this ICT pulley, it would actually run right into the tubing. But with this pulley on here, it will come up and then curve and go around. So it pushes everything out of the way. That's what I'm doing. That's what I like. It's simple, it's clean, it's what I had. It's not breaking the bank. This guy, he has spent a lot of money on this, but he also has another truck that he races, and he didn't want to get that involved, so we're just using what we have. Like I said, some of this stuff is what I've had laying around. That bracket is mine. The alternator bracket's mine. I'm putting that on the truck because, for one, it helps minimize the clutter in my shop, which I have a lot. And one of the other things that I did not go over is the injectors. that I'm going to be running. I think they're down in this box somewhere. I'm going to be running flow matched Bosch 210s. Yeah, I don't know where they're in here somewhere, but actually, I think they are. Where are they at? But okay, I found them. These are genuine Bosch flow matched 210 pound an hour injectors. So he should not have a problem with fuel. Another thing that I might add with his is this truck does not have a fuel cell. It still has the factory fuel tank. So it makes it a little tricky whenever you're running the factory fuel tank, but not the end of the world. What I'm going to be doing as of right now is going to be running twin Hellcat pumps. The Dodge Challenger, Hellcat, whatever. I think they are like a 550 pound an hour fuel pump, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. 550, 650, 600, somewhere in that area. Way over stock. But I've seen a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot of people that are running that setup, that are running the twin Hellcat pumps in a stock tank. Works fine. That was one of his big stipulations on this thing, is that it had to maintain the stock fuel tank. So this is just going to be building this thing along. Like I said, I'll record this stuff as I can. This is my first time, so take it easy on me. If there's anything that I could do differently, things I might can add, things I might can do different. Do I say too much? Do I mean, people get on here and watch videos for the content of what we're doing, building motors, racing, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about looking at who's actually behind the camera. I don't have the prettiest face in the world to be looking at, so I'm sure that this stuff is much more exciting than looking at me. And also, one of the things I wanted to do this year, as like a side note, is I wanted to document racing. It's I love it. I've been in racing. I'll be 38 this year. I have been into cars and stuff for a long time. Racing regularly, I guess if you want to say competitively, for the last 2 years. And my family goes with me. My wife, my 2 kids. I've got a little boy, a little girl. My little boy enjoys it more so than my little girl and my wife, but they go to support, which is awesome. And we've made a lot of changes. Last year we bought an enclosed trailer, so it makes things a little bit easier. Whenever they go to the track, they don't have to sit out in the sun, out in the elements. They can be sitting in the trailer in the shade, doing whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to be doing some upgrades to that. We're going to be, we've camped out in that trailer one time at a race. It was in South Carolina. It was less than ideal, we'll say. It turned cold that night. We weren't really prepared for it. We were a little cool, but we made do. We survived. Wasn't that bad. But we're going to be, I'll do some videos later on this year we're going to try to build sort of like a living quarters, I guess you could say. Some beds that fold up. We're going to be adding air conditioning to it. We're going to be adding, what they call it, shore power, where I can run off my generator. I can just take my generator, plug it up on the outside, and the entire trailer will be powered. Just try to take some of the creature comforts that we have from home, putting it in there, air condition, lighting, etc., and documenting some of these races that we go to. Have a lot of fun. We have we meet a lot of new people. We make a lot of friends. We try to just make it, a family thing. My little boy, he is turning of age. We're fixing to get into go-kart racing. So, trying to kind of introduce that family orientation of, spending that time together, doing racing, stuff like that in different forms, daddy races, son races. So we'll see where it goes. I think that's enough babbling and carrying on. I'm going to hopefully be soon. Maybe, if this does good, I might order me a tripod or something where I don't have to hold this phone the whole time because I have shaky hands, and where I can maybe record the process of doing some of this stuff. But as I go along, I will try to remember to document. If you like this stuff, if this seems of any interest to you, give me a thumbs up. If not, you can send me a message with a thumbs down. If you don't, that's okay. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun things. And we'll see you guys on the next one.